under segment. All that's coming up. Hi, I'm Doug Rice. I'll be joined by PRN's trio of David Stiles, Alexis, Erickson, and Brad Gillie on this New Year edition of Fast Talk.
It's Fast Talk on the Performance Racing Network, presented by Toyota. Let's go places. Coca-Cola Zero Sugar. Is it the best Coke ever? Now, here's the host of Fast Talk, Doug Rice.
Welcome to Fast Talk. We're almost a month away from the Clash at the Coliseum and about 6 weeks away from the Daytona 500 at the Daytona International Speedway, and that will go by in a flash as we get ready to jump in to the 2023 NASCAR Cup Series season. As we said in the intro, joined by Alexis Erickson, Brad Gillie, and David Stiles. David will be talking to us from behind the glass. Since he was the last one of the group to officially ring in the new year because he was in Fort Worth, Texas, Brad Gillie, you get to go first here. The first shall be last and vice versa. I'm assuming you kicked the new year off in style.
You know what? Yeah, we did. We had a great time. Kathleen, my better half, and I, we actually just went over to my parents' house and had a nice little dinner and watched the New Year's ring in a couple of different places. It was kind of cool. They had the Puerto Rico New Year first because I guess they're the first ones to hit when it comes to the United States and territories. And then we watched the ball drop, and then we left and went home. So we could get out on the road before all the crazies did, and then rang in the Central Time Zone New Year together, which was really nice. But yeah, it was honestly a great time, a great day, and it's been wonderful. The weather's been great too, so a lot of outside time.
So that's a nice double dip to ring in the new year. That's very clever of you.
A triple dip. I didn't realize the Puerto Rico one was happening, and it was funny because they have a star that goes up, and then you watch New York that has the ball drop down. And then you go back home and you go, Happy New Year, and fall asleep.
All right. Alexis Erickson has a 1.5-year-old that got to ring in the new year. I suspect you rang in the new year by getting up the next day going like, okay, let's go get him.
Well, honestly, I certainly don't want to, lie on here. I was in bed by 11 o'clock. Yeah. I did not see the ball drop at all, but I think that's probably what most parents of 15-month-olds were doing. Obviously knew the new year was coming. It's funny how Brad talks about it happening in Puerto Rico and then, the East Coast and Central Time. And I have family that lives on the West Coast. So it is kind of interesting to think about how you kind of have that wave of New Year that comes through for everybody, and those on the West Coast see it last. But yeah, it was a great day for us. It was the 5th year anniversary for me and my husband being married on New Year's Eve, and we got to spend it with our little boy. And I thought seriously about maybe like YouTubing last year's ball drop at like 6:30 p.m. and letting him watch it and being like, oh, yay, 2023. But he's still kind of a little bit too young to understand what was happening anyway. Maybe we'll do that next year. We'll see.
All right, letting you behind the curtain just a little bit. Alexis, as she alluded to, she has been married now for 5 years, and her wedding was on a New Year's Eve. My wife, Penny, and I attended that wonderful event. And up until then, for the last 20 years, we had always held a big New Year's Eve party at our house. And we realized immediately after going to the wedding and not holding the party that not having the big party was actually a reward. So we've never had one since. Nobody has been at our house when the ball drops except for ourselves since that time. So thank you for releasing us from the bondage of the New Year's Eve party.
Oh, you're very welcome. I'm glad I could kind of illuminate you to the fact that hosting is a lot of work.
It is a tremendous amount of work.
You don't have to do it if you don't want to.
And the other part dur of this particular New Year's Eve, I love college football, so I'm watching the college football semifinals game. And Georgia and Ohio State are in a great game. It looks like Ohio State's going to run them out of the gym. Georgia stages this wild comeback. Ohio State gets the ball late with a chance to win. And I'm in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, I want to turn over and watch the ball drop, but I'm not turning off the football game. And literally, the Ohio State-Georgia semifinal game ended at the stroke of midnight with a player, and I'm not even going to mention his name, for Ohio State missing the game-winning field goal.
And then Ohio State turned into a pumpkin.
They did turn into a pumpkin.
Whoa.
But it is uncanny, folks. If you get a chance, go on YouTube or Twitter. There are some mashups of how they ended, and it is literally like it was choreographed for the fireworks to go off while the game ended. And it was pure coincidence,
Yeah.
but it is really kind of freaky that it happened that way in real time. So and then I went out in the yard because I usually go out because the dogs are afraid of the fireworks, and it was kind of subdued. All I could hear were some shotguns off in the distance, which leads me to David Stiles. David is our sportsman and outdoorsman. So were you anywhere in your backyard with fireworks, David, when the new year came in?
No, because we've got an Australian Shepherd that does not like fireworks. And so she actually got into a bathroom, locked herself in there while we were gone, and when we came back, the whole bathroom was destroyed. So, that's just kind of how that goes.
Happy New Year. Huh?
Yeah. She was like, "Hey, I'm stuck in the bathroom," and we let her out, and she was like, I did not have a good time." So.
So there's some reupholstery work to do in the bathroom at the Stiles household?
We threw away some rugs. We threw away some trash. So other than that, every year it's the same thing. That dog just does not like fireworks. So
every dog owner listening now is like, "Yep, been through that."
Yep.
Yep, been through that.
And I guess it's the price you pay. Like I said, in our neighborhood this year, very, very subdued, not much going on, which I was very thankful for. Something that's going to happen in the new year, the NASCAR world, Jimmie Johnson's back on the scene. Going to drive a handful of races for Petty GMS, and he's also including the Daytona 500 in that. Brad Gillie, I know you've followed Jimmie's career since its inception. He ran over to IndyCar for a while. Now he's back in NASCAR on a limited basis. What are you expecting out of 7-time?
You know what? I expect him to elevate in whatever event that he's racing. Meaning, he goes to Daytona. If he makes the Daytona 500, there are no guarantees on that because it'll be a non-chartered car, but that the Daytona 500 is just a little more special because he's in it. And he's won that one twice. And wherever else he goes to race, that is a great storyline to Jimmie Johnson being there. That's my hope for it all. And obviously, if you're a Jimmie Johnson fan, well, you hope he wins the Daytona 500 and then decides to stay full-time and run for a championship. But, all I'm expecting out of it is just a great time and seeing Jimmie Johnson back at the racetrack.
Alexis, I got to go along with what Brad is saying here in the sense that even though he was a staple and a mainstay in NASCAR for a while, when he shows back up, that's automatic added star power, isn't it?
Oh, I think so, for sure. You talked about how he ran, some IndyCar seasons and races when he left NASCAR the first time. And I think this is going to be like a homecoming for him. And when you think about NASCAR royalty, I mean, he is right up there, obviously, being a 7-time champion. So I think just a homecoming for him. And it has a nice, warm, fuzzy feeling. We tend to forget that he had some struggles in his last few years in NASCAR. And I remember distinctly a lot of times, people saying, well, he needs to go. He doesn't have it anymore and all of those things. And I think this will be different. I don't think we'll have those conversations anymore. I think it'll just be more like Brad said, he's elevating the event. It'll be a storyline. It'll be a homecoming. It'll just feel good to have him in the field, whether he performs or not. And that's TBD because, like Brad said, it's an uncharted car and there's so many variables into will he do well or not. But it'll just feel good to have him there.
I will say this. If he can make the cut, and as you said very adroitly, there's no guarantee that he's going to be in the Daytona 500. I think he will have pretty good stuff to go down there and try to get into the show. So I like his chances of getting in. It's not a lock, but he could be there. I think that does elevate everybody's brand by having 7-time back in. And David Stiles, I'll ask you this. Richard Petty is the king. Dale Earnhardt won 7 championships. He's the intimidator. Can we not do better for Jimmie Johnson than 7-time? That seems lazy.
I think it fits. I mean, there's only 3 of them that have ever won 7 championships, and he's coming back to, I feel like, an organization with another 7-time champion, and their stable is so good. You've got Eric Jones over there. Noah Gregson will be a rookie coming into that house as well. So I think that team could do very well, and the parity that we saw last year, I think, speaks dividends to this too, because Jimmie could very well run a few races and win a few of those. So it's not out of the realm of possibility that, he could do very well, but I think the nickname fits. So
okay. I think if he gets into the Daytona 500, that race is such a crapshoot that he could surprise everybody. We see that happen all the time. We see drivers that don't perform well throughout the year. They go to Daytona, and Jimmy had not done anything outstanding the last couple of seasons in NASCAR, but that's not saying if he gets in the Daytona 500, they couldn't make some noise.
Yeah, I mean, I think the new car probably has a lot to do with why he's even coming back to NASCAR. I think he wants to get in the new car, see what he can do in the new car. Obviously, there's some other business things going on there with him and his ownership stake in the team itself, but I think the new car is something that's certainly intriguing to him, and I'll be very interested to see how he does in it because of the parity that we have seen in 2022, and I think surely we'll see again in 2023.
Well, it sure gives us a great talking point heading into this brand new season coming out. Who could break out? Who can put the stamp on the upcoming NASCAR Cup Series season? Our panel tackles that next here on Fast Talk.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
800-218-4909. 800-218-4909. 800-218-4909. Again, that's 800-218-4909.
I'm Eric Jones, and you're listening to Fast Talk on the Performance Racing Network.
I'm Paul Shad in Charlotte with Kathy Martindale in Nashville. Here on Z-Max Racing Country, going to Nashville, Kathy and Thomas Ray.
Dirk Bentley said that your album blew his mind. That's probably one of the highest compliments you could get.
Yeah, if Dirks likes it, then you know that hopefully some people are going to like it.
We're so proud of bringing you the best singers in country music and the biggest stars in NASCAR.
Z-Max Racing Country, music from the fast lane.
From the granite state of New Hampshire down through North Carolina and all the way to California, the Speedway Motorsports Incorporated footprint is truly national.
That's your engine! This is Bristol.
Hey, drivers, light these bad boys up!
From zero to wow.
We've got a car in trouble, and that, guys, will bring out a caution. Fans are on their feet.
SMI action is never ending. In every sport, in every season, there is a team or an individual that has a breakout year. We were talking about college football. Actually, we weren't. I was talking about college football in the first segment. This year, that breakout team was Texas Christian University, the Horned Frogs, who were not ranked at the start of the season. And later on, they'll be playing Georgia for the national championship. Who can break out in the upcoming NASCAR Cup season? Brad Gillie, let's start with you. You're kind of a Horned Frog neighbor, aren't you?
The Horned Frogs are right down the road from where I sit right now. Absolutely. So good for them and good luck to them next Monday or January 9th, whichever day of the week that is. But anyway, all right. So I'll go off of, I don't think I'm going to take anyone's prediction on this. I'll say Alex Bowman. And I know that sounds a little far out there to have a breakout year. Yes, he's had a 4-win season before, but we're talking about who might break out this year. His new crew chief, Blake Harris, who is from just as far from TCU as I am, except on the south side of the city. But he comes over after being Micah McDowell's crew chief, his first year to do that, and the longtime car chief for Martin Truex Jr. I actually think that Blake Harris coming into the number 48 elevates all of Hendrick Motorsports, and Alex Bowman is the one who gets to directly reap the benefits of that as his crew chief. So maybe another multi-win season there for the number 48.
All right. Can you give a little specificity on that? Is that 3 wins, 4 wins, makes it to the final 8?
I would say right now a 4-win season would be a breakout year, because if you go back to 2022, we had Chase Elliott win 5 races and a handful of other drivers win 3. So I'm going to say a 4-win season would be a breakout, and at least the round of 8 in the playoffs. How about that?
All right, that'd be a big jump for Alex Bowman, who was mostly visible on the side of a milk carton this past year. There was just no, and it was a bad season for him. You get injured, you get sidelined, you don't have the kind of year you thought you were going to have. So that's a nice one. Let's go over to David Stiles. David, what are you thinking about? Who breaks out from the pack this year that maybe last year we weren't talking about?
Well, I'm going to stay in the same camp that Brad is in, but I'm going to choose another teammate of Alex Bowman. I'm going to say William Byron. Him and Rudy Fugle have been really good. Last year they had 2 wins, and they had a chance of getting another win at Darlington. But I think that he kind of will figure it out again this year, and he will, propel himself further into the playoffs, past what he did in 2022.
So a couple of Hendrick Motorsports guys. Here again, I'll ask you, what are you thinking? What would constitute a breakout? How many dubs?
I think he gets 4 wins this next year. So I know that Alexis is giving me eyebrows. She's going, I don't know about that. But I think he could do it. I mean, him and Rudy pair really well together, and Hendrick was the dominant team kind of through the middle of the summer last year. And William Byron's kind of sneaky. He was super consistent last year, pretty much all season, until it got down toward the end of the playoffs, and we saw the cream kind of rise to the top with Chastain and Logano. So I think Byron can make a deep run. I think at least into the round of 8 and at least 4 wins.
All right, so that's William Byron and Alex Bowman. Alexis, if you say Chase Elliott, we'll cut your microphone off.
No.
You're off the show. What are you thinking?
I do not have the most popular driver on my list. The first guy on my list is A.J. Allmendinger. A.J. Allmendinger is going to be driving full-time for Colleague in 2023. He has not been full-time in the NASCAR Cup Series since 2018 when he ran for JTG Daugherty. I just feel like what he and that team have been able to do in the Xfinity Series and in the limited amount of runs that they had in the Cup Series previously was kind of magic, if you think about that team and just what they've had to do to kind of build themselves up, and they've done it in such a way that has been really incredible. And I think we're going to continue to see that with his full-time run in the Cup Series in 2023. And before you have to ask me, I'm going to say that I think he's going to have at least 2 wins. Clearly, that will put him in the playoffs, and I think he makes the round of 8.
Okay,
so for A.J. Allmendinger.
You're gonna stick. I like that. I like the ferocity of that. I'm going to chime in here. Nobody asked me, but I'm going to anyway, because I like to have my soul crushed and my spirit beaten down. When you're an Atlanta Falcon fan all your life, you get used to that. But Ryan Blaney, this is it. This is the year that Ryan Blaney, the most talked about 7-time NASCAR race winner in the history of NASCAR, in the 75-year history of this sport, we've talked more about this guy that has won 7 races than any other 7-time winner, with maybe the exception of Alan Kawicki. But every year, I think this is it. This is the year that Ryan Blaney is a clear favorite to win the championship, that he wins a half dozen races, that he is everything that we want him to be. He's already everything I want him to be. He's glib. He's good looking. He can talk about things that don't involve the race car. Brad, he's a Star Wars fan.
I knew you were going to say
right.
that.
He's a lot of things. He is the entire package.
Yeah.
He's all of that. But, he
goes from Padawan to Master?
Yes,
is that what you're saying?
maybe this year. This year,
I like that.
He elevates to, Obi-Wan status. I don't know. I just, don't kill me again, Ron Blaney. Come on, step up, win some races. Let's be talking about you in November being a title contender next year. So those are some of our breakouts. Coming up, we've got numbers, and then we're going to go over and under.
You wash the outside, clean the inside, and make sure maintenance is up to date. Pamper your car's engine and fuel system by adding Z-Max Micro Lubricant. Using the fluids as a carrier to reach internal parts, Z-Max literally soaks into metal, dispersing harmful carbon buildup. This helps improve performance, extend engine life, and reduce emissions. Get Z-Max today at zmax.com or your local auto parts store.
Hi, this is PRN's Brett McMillan. You don't spend your life just sitting around, so what you need is PRN's mobile app. By downloading the mobile app, you can listen to our live race broadcast from anywhere. Make sure you don't miss a second of the action from the track. If you download it today, you get station listings and on-demand access to your favorite studio shows like Fast Talk, Pit Reporters, or Garage Pass. Get all the latest racing information at your fingertips with the PRN mobile app. Download today. Available at the Apple App Store and on Google Play.
I'm Austin Dillon, and you're listening to Fast Talk on the Performance Racing Network.
Hey, I'm Corey LaJoy for Speedway Children's Charities. The mission for Speedway Children's Charities has remained true since its founding almost 40 years ago: to care for children in educational, financial, social, and medical needs in order to help them lead happy and productive lives. So many children have benefited from our group in the past, but we need your help now more than ever. Our local chapters are more than just fundraisers, they are partners in change, working with a broad range of people and organizations to help children in their communities. Want to make a real difference in a child's life? Start by heading to speedwaycharities.org today. Make a donation, volunteer, or attend one of the dozen fundraising events we host at our chapters. There's so much we can do when we all join together, so let's start today. Again, visit speedwaycharities.org to learn more. I thank you in advance for your help.
It's Fast Talk. I'm Doug Rice, joined by Alexis Erickson, Brad Gillie, and David Stiles. And in gambling parlance, there's a thing called over-under. It's kind of funny. It used to be that the odds for sporting events were never published. And if they were, it was at the bottom of page in something they called agate type. It was so small you had to get a magnifying glass to read it. And now, every 20 seconds on an NFL game, there's another ad for DraftKings or some other way you can spend your gambling money. But anyway, the premise of over-under comes from, we'll give you a number, you can take the over or the under. What they don't say, it's like green and roulette. If it hits the number, you lose too. So the house always has an advantage. But for instance, a football game that's coming up, maybe the over-under is 53 points scored. If they score 53, you lose because you took the over or the under. You didn't bet the exact. Now, you can bet the exact, but then you don't get the over or the under. Anyway, that's the setup here. The over-unders for this upcoming season. David Stiles, we're going to start with you because I know you're back here a lot when we're on the road. 4 is the number of NASCAR Cup Series rain delays. Hell, we had 4 in one day in Texas. But anyway, I'm going to say 4 rain delays. That does not mean delayed to the next day. That just means stoppage of play. I'm going to clarify this. This means 4 red flag delays.
And it doesn't have to be rain. It can be snow, fog,
it
whatever.
It could be whatever.
I want to say over. We'll have more than 4.
I knew there wasn't an optimist in this group. Alexis, what are we thinking here?
Yeah, it hurts my heart to say it, but if you're talking about the entire 2023 season and you think there's only going to be 4 red flag stoppages, I think you're crazy. I'm taking the over.
All
on
right,
that,
the
for
over
sure.
seems to be popular here. Brad Gillie, you're usually the shiny optimist in the room.
I'm going to say, don't you put that mojo on me, Ricky Bobby. What the heck are you doing talking about rain delays for? Making predictions. I'll say over because I'd rather be wrong, and I'm usually wrong on those things.
Okay, so the over is 4. I think so because, like I said, jokingly, we've had that in one race before. The next one, the number of times Ross Chastain gets blamed for something he really didn't do. The number is 3. Alexis, false blaming, gaslighting Ross Chastain. What's happening?
Yeah, I'm going to take the over on that because I think Ross, he's one of those guys that he doesn't care what other people think, and he's aggressive on the racetrack, and I think that's probably what draws a lot of people to him. And to be honest, I don't see him being somebody that's going to, that's thinking to themselves, oh, my New Year's resolution this year is to be a lot nicer on the racetrack. I just don't see that happening, so I'm going to take the over on that.
All right, Brad, the number is 3 for Ross Chastain being the pinup guy for the folks that people want to yell at after a race?
I'll take the over because the spotters alone will blame Ross Chastain for stuff that even happened on the opposite side of the racetrack from where he was. So, yeah, he'll get blamed for more than what he did.
Yeah, I think they're blaming him sometimes before the race even starts. David Stiles, what about it? Watermelon Man, so you have to taste the Ryan again?
I'm going to say under. I think that he learned a lot in the playoffs this last season. He came in second, so I know that he's super aggressive, and I'll probably eat crow later, but I think it'll be under.
All right, taking under. 2 overs and 1 under, the number being 3 for Ross Chastain. All right, the number here is a very low number. The odds makers that presented this to us went with this. I don't know why. But the number is 1, Brad Gillie, 1 being the number of new winners on the Cup Series for 2023. The number is 1.
I can't take even?
You can take even. You can bet the exact if you want.
You know what? I'm going to bet the exact because there are not a lot of opportunities to have actually new winners. You got what? Ty Gibbs, Ty Dillon, Corey LaJoie, and Noah Gregson. So I will take the even. I will say it's one of those.
Oh, all right. That's kind of like betting a single number in roulette. It would pay back well. Yeah. Alexis, what are you thinking on the number of new winners this year? Over, under 1?
That's a very hard question, but I'm going to go with the over only by 1. I'm going to say 2.
Ooh.
Yeah. Ooh. And I'm going to say Ty Gibbs and Noah Gregson will be those 2. And I think it's all because of the next gen car and what we're capable of doing now with that. I mean, we had 21 new winners if you count Ryan Blaney winning the All-Star race and Brad Keselowski winning a dual race last year. So,
yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I'm gonna go over, but I'm gonna kind of wince when I do it.
All right, so taking the over, but not with a lot of conviction. 1 is often called the loneliest number, David Stiles. That's a 70s music reference. Sorry, I gave that to
I know that one.
That's 18. But what are you thinking here? Number of new winners this year. The number is 1.
I mean, Ryan Preece hasn't won a race yet in the Cup Series. I think it might be over. I think he could win in the 41. It's not out of the realm of possibility. We saw what happened last year. Daniel Suarez hadn't won in his whole career and then went to Sonoma and ended up getting a good quality win for Trackhouse. Who's to say that, Preece can't do that? And then Ty Gibbs is just so good. And then Noah Gregson is really good as well. So I think all 3 of them could get wins. I think
David's very good. I'm almost convinced now, even though I don't think that's going to be right.
You're almost convinced. Well, that's his job.
But it was very good.
You.
It was very good. Next one. The number is 2. The number is 2. Because nobody uses the word fired in our sport because we're all nice and everybody gets along. So people get replaced. Or they retire to go spend more time with their family. 2 is the number. The number of crew chiefs that we will go with, Alexis, replaced during the season. Because you don't fire drivers because they're on the side of soup cans and we use them in our advertising. But crew chiefs get thrown on the scrap heap.
Before I answer that question, I just want to say when you say 2 is the number, of course, my mom brain goes to Sesame Street. 2 is the number of the day because I've been watching a lot of Sesame Street lately, folks. I've been off work for 2 weeks. A lot of Sesame Street. Yeah, I'm going to take replaced. I'm going to take the under on that. I'm going to take the under on that. I think they're, with all the suspensions and things that we have for, loose wheels and all that stuff, I think, I think there's a lot more leeway in the crew chief department as far as the team owners are concerned these days. So I'm going to take the under on that.
All right. The number is 2, Brad Gillie, for crew chiefs.
Now, mid-season or like by season's end?
By season's end. This is the entire year.
So
crew chiefs that get replaced.
At the end of 23, so-and-so is going to have a new one going into the next year?
No, they had to be yanked during the year.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
I was going to say that was a caveat I didn't know.
Yeah. I want to take the over because I think I feel like you want someone to take the over, but I can't see it happening mid-year. So I'll take the under.
Like I said, it's a nice sport, but here's a code word, folks. If a crew chief says, I need to spend more time with my family.
Mid-year, though.
Now, mid-year in July.
And who are you going to replace them with?
Family time. David Stiles, what are you thinking? The number is 2.
Well, if you're looking on J-Ski, you've got 8 new crew chiefs this year. So I don't know if that means anything, but I think it's under. I don't think there's going to be fired in the middle of the year, so that's usually an end of the season type thing.
Yeah, I mean, Brad makes a good point because if you're fired, you have to be replaced with somebody, and usually that person is already crew chiefing for somebody else at that point. So all of those changes usually happen at the end of the year when people are free.
All right, the last one. The number is 3 here. Brad Gillie, we're going to start with you. The number is 3. Take the over or under of the number of races that Chase Elliott blames himself for the team's poor performance.
Way over. Yeah, way over. Yeah, there'll be a lot of I don't know, what do you call it, the sour milk, however you describe it. There's going to be a lot of ho hum. Yeah, it'll be way over 3.
All right, David Stiles, what are we thinking here? Is Chase Elliott, is this the year he throws off the shackles of self-condemnation, or does he continue down that path?
No, it'll still be, I messed up. I cost us that race. So,
so
it'll be
over.
It'll be over. Yeah, it definitely over.
It felt like 3 was a big number there.
Yeah, I really
Apparently
hate
you
it.
guys
I
don't.
really hate it for my guys, but I'm going with the over.
Yeah.
Well,
You know, they put a lot of
very
work
off-season.
in back at the shop, and I just,
But it's all my fault.
It's all me. I'm going the over.
Yeah, it's like this. Occasionally, the show gets stuffed in the wall here, and it's it's right here.
Well,
All right.
which is better than him blaming other people.
Yes, it
though.
is.
To his credit,
Yeah.
he's not pointing fingers, and I think that's good.
I don't know, and I like Chase, and he's talented and he's popular, but I don't like the self-flagellation with the
maybe we got beat.
Yeah,
Yes.
you know.
There is a better way to handle that than blaming yourself or blaming others. You don't have to blame anybody, you know? The we got beat.
We got whipped today.
Got
That's
outrun.
That's fair enough. All right, coming up, we have some seniors. I hate to call them seniors because they're still 20 years younger than me. And the NASCAR that could be wrapping up their careers this year. We'll talk about them next.
Life can be full of risks. One thing you shouldn't take a risk with ever is your family's health insurance. If you're self-employed or you now need affordable health insurance, you need to make this free call right now and see how the Health Insurance Helpline can help you get it. We specialize in helping the self-employed and people just like you that need affordable health insurance to get it. We have short and long-term health insurance plans, and some even cover dental, vision, and prescription drugs. Don't take a risk with your family's health insurance. It's not worth it. If you're self-employed or now need affordable health insurance, call right now and learn for free how to get it. Listen, affordable health insurance plans for everyone just like you are a free phone call away. So give us a shout right now.
800-472-5145. 800-472-5145. 800-472-5145. That's 800-472-5145.
I'm Denny Hamlin, and you're listening to Fast Talk on the Performance Racing Network.
Hey, I'm Paul Shadden Charlotte with Kathy Martindale in Nashville on the Performance Racing Network.
This is Z-Max Racing Country Classics. Let's head to Charlotte now and join Paul with Chase Elliott.
Tell me this, growing up as Bill Elliott's little boy, did you know Rick Hendrick at all?
The first time I ever spoke a word to him was when I was about 15, and we were just talking racing.
Z-Max Racing Country Classics.
Mike Rowe here with a gentle reminder that civilization is held together by pipes, wires, and cables. It's true. There are over 5 million miles of gas lines, power lines, fiber optic lines, water lines, and sewer lines, all buried beneath your feet. And every 60 seconds, somebody digs into one. Look, if you're thinking about digging around, do yourself a favor and call 811 first just to find out what's down there. Trust me, you don't want to find out the hard way. Call or click 811 before you dig and visit safeexcavator.com for more info.
Coming up later on in the show, we will get the predictions. They're kind of out there predictions for 2023 from our panelists, so they can go anywhere they want with that. But inevitably in this sport, and I've quoted this guy 1,000 times on this. When Matt Kenseth, one time I asked him about the changing of the guard, and he goes, changing the guard is great as long as you're the guard that's not being changed. And I vividly remember an article from many years ago about Twilight of the Gods. I thought that was a little self-aggrandizing, but it was talking about the fact that a lot of the big-name drivers in the sport, the Richard Pettys, Cale Yarboroughs, and Buddy Bakers, were all getting ready to step aside. Inevitably, somebody comes along and ascends into that space. We have 3 more, I feel like, that are ready to step out maybe at the end of this year or 2 years max. And Alexis, I'll start with you. Eric Almirola, he false teased us with saying, I'm getting out to spend more time with my family. And then his family changed their schedule and Eric Almirola's back. Is this it? Is this the last year Eric Almirola's selling bacon?
Yeah, I could see it being his last year for sure. But I think even more importantly, because I know there's another guy on your list, and you probably don't want me to jump ahead, I only will to say this. I think that this could be the season that Stewart Haas Racing loses 2 people at one time. And then you have to think about who's going to replace those 2 people. And I don't really know if there's enough people in the pipeline to fill those seats right now. So I do think Eric Almirola probably is in his last season. I think he probably really wanted to step aside and retire when he originally said that he was going to, and then Smithfield came and said, we're going to continue to back you. And then perhaps, Tony came to Eric and said, look, let's just go ahead and do a year more and figure things out as we go. But I think he really, truly is. And you said this in the last segment when they say, I want to spend more time with my family. I think that really, truly is on his wish list, and he wants to do that. So I think 1 more year past this might be too much for him. I
was fortunate enough to MC a couple of events with Eric, even though he was really rough on me, by the way. I don't know why, but
that money Brad slipped him ahead time.
I got the idea that he was sincere about time with family.
Yeah.
And he did say, well, some things have moved around, and the schedule being more condensed than it was 3 years ago, that you're home a lot more.
Yep.
So, but I think at the end of the day, a big part of that was also Smithfield said, hey,
yeah,
we can push this into the bank account for you and keep you around the game a little bit longer. So Eric Almirola, we'll see. I'm kind of like you, Alexis. I think
I was just going to say,
one and done.
I have a question, though, kind of a follow-up question for that, for all 3 of you, if you want to take it. Where does Eric Almirola go? Do you think he's somebody that kind of goes, behind the curtains and we never see him again? Is he a Carl Edwards who leaves and is never heard from again? Or is he somebody that stays around the sport in some kind of, I don't know, team capacity? What are your thoughts? There are drivers out there, we'll talk about them coming up, that you kind of clearly see where they'll go after this. Him, I'm not so sure.
I don't think he's not a lock to be on television, is he, Brad Gillie? One, he's not a big enough name. I mean, I'm just being honest. He's won, 3 races in his career?
Yeah, no, I don't think so. And with no disrespect, I just don't see that necessarily being in his wheelhouse. Like a Jamie McMurray, I thought has made a fantastic television analyst, but I think Jeremy McMurray thinks that way and talks that way. I mean, maybe he just simply goes back to Florida and retires and enjoys the family and spends time with them.
Yeah, that's true. I think Jamie McMurray and to a lesser extent Clint Boyer have proven you don't have to win a boatload of races to be good, but I don't think Eric Almirola possesses the panache that those guys have. Well, we'll see what happens. Martin Truex Jr. is another name, David Stiles. Guy's a past champion. He's racked up a lot of wins in the game, coming off of a really subpar season where he didn't even make the playoffs. Is this the last hurrah for Martin Truex Jr.?
I feel like if he doesn't turn it around, and I'm not saying that he's washed up, I feel like he's still one of the best drivers that we have on the circuit. If something doesn't change over there with that 19 team and they don't compile a few victories in 2023, I think this is it. I think he decides to hang it up. He goes and spends some time with his significant other. And I mean, we all know this. Truex loves to hunt and fish and do all that kind of stuff. I could see him just kind of going into the sunset and saying, you know what? I had a great career. I won a championship. He really has nothing else to prove. And we could just see him disappear, kind of like Carl Edwards.
All right, Brad, what are we thinking? And I'll say this as a disclaimer. Everybody in this game loves Martin Truex Jr. because he doesn't give you any reason not to love him. But his performance level stays the same. Is this his last year?
See, he doesn't have anything else to prove. Again, I mean, he's won big races. He's won a championship. He's done all of that. Gone fishing. Enjoy it, Martin.
All right, we'll see. I I have a feeling that we're probably pretty spot on about that one, Alexis.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You don't have to be a great forward thinker to read the tea leaves on that. Let's go with another guy that won a couple of races this year, David Stiles. Kevin Harvick. He is 47 years old. He's coming off of a 2-win season, and he's kind of taken on a leadership role in the garage. But could you see this being the end of the race for Kevin?
I mean, on the podcast that JC Fickenshire and I do, we talked about this, and I said I could see him stepping away in 2022 if things don't really materialize, and then he won a couple of races there late. To me, I don't think Kevin's done. He's kind of gotten better with age, and not to say that he's too old to win races or that he's in his prime right now, but I still think that he has that desire to run in a race car and win races. But I'm not, best friends with Kevin Harvick. He could all of a sudden decide, hey, I want to step out of this car, spend more time with my kids, watch my son turn into a great race car driver. So to me, it's very cloudy. It's ambiguous. I know that's kind of a non-answer, but I feel like he may have some more left in the tank.
Alexis, you look like you're wanting to talk here.
Yeah, well, the thing about Kevin Harvick is that I could see it going either way, because I feel like he does still have a passion for the sport. I think it is, something he still wants to do. But I also see him in that television analyst role, and I see there being possibilities for him to have a seat open at specific networks, especially when this new television deal is done. Perhaps his name is being tossed around. Does he stay in the car until the new TV deal comes out, and then he's announced as the big color guy or analyst on one of the networks that is a part of that deal? Perhaps he's also playing daddy, race car teacher, to Keelan, and I think that's very special to him. He spends a lot of his time going to different races across the world, internationally with Keelan, helping him formulate his racing career. So he's got a lot of things going on, a lot of plates up in the air.
Brad, is this the year that we see the transition? Because as Alexis alluded to, he spends up more time in Europe than most UN executives, because his son races over there because he wants him to race against top-notch talent. Do you think Kevin's already put his sights and said, okay, I've done everything here. I have every trophy I need. It's time to go play dad?
Yeah, that's hard to say, because number one, we're going to know within the next month, because Kevin Harvick already said back when we were in Nashville that whatever his plans are beyond 2023, he will make that announcement before the Daytona 500. So this isn't going to be a mystery as to what he's going to do. It doesn't matter what he does throughout this season. I think his decision's already made, and that's where it makes it hard. If he's already saying, well, I'll let you guys know what I'm going to do before the Daytona 500, that might lend itself to think that, oh, well, he's going to announce this is going to be his final year. I think Kevin Harvick still has another year in him. I agree with Alexis in one thing that she said, if he's going to go the television route, and that's a big if. Maybe he doesn't go the television route until the next deal comes into play and how all of that looks. So I think Kevin Harvick is still enjoying what he's doing, and probably more importantly, if you listen to him, enjoying the people that he's doing it with, from Rodney Childers to everyone on his race team. And I think that's what drives him and motivates him more than necessarily some of the results, although those help. But I think he's got at least another year in the tank beyond this one.
I think if I'm Gene Haas and Tony Stewart, I'm having coffee with Kevin Harvick every day, saying, hey, don't you want to stick around? You can do this at age 49. You can do this at 50, because I still feel like out of their stable of drivers, he is by far and away the most talented driver they have. His leadership there on that team has to be invaluable. So I think there may be some outward pressure on Harvick to extend his stay. Equally, I could also see him saying, I got money, I got everything else. I cannot buy back the time I will miss spending with my son and daughter if I duck out at this afterwards. And the TV booth wouldn't eat up near as much time. He would be a great addition to the Fox booth. Go up there with Clint Boyer and Mike Joy and throw Kevin Harvick into that mix. That'd be a pretty good setup. And then, we don't have to go through with the mystery analyst every year. But actually, most of the drivers that have been in that role have done pretty well. Coming up, big predictions for this upcoming 2023 season. We'll hear from our triumvirate of panelists next.
We want to help extend the life of your vehicle. Add Z-Max Microlubricant to the fuel and oil where it uses the fluids to reach internal parts. As it soaks into metal, Z-Max disperses harmful carbon buildup to help improve performance, reduce emissions, extend engine life, and increase fuel mileage. Buy Z-Max today at zmax.com or your local auto parts store. Help your vehicle run better with Z-Max Microlubricant.
Make your plans now to stay at the South Point Hotel Casino and Spa next March when NASCAR returns to Las Vegas. They have great race ticket and room packages for you to choose from. The South Point also features a wide variety of excellent dining options at 11 different restaurants. Or you can enjoy the 16-screen movie complex and visit the 64-lane bowling center. Visit southpointcasino.com and make your reservations today. Stay where the racers stay at the South Point Hotel Casino and Spa.
I'm Alex Bowman, and you're listening to Fast Talk on the Performance Racing Network.
For anybody that thought these guys weren't going to be professional and work together, we're wrong, because they did exactly that on Sunday.
The better that car does, the better recruiting tool that is for the next driver to come into that car, whether it's somebody coming up from their Xfinity program or it's a free agent.
It really just felt like this year especially, it was a matter of when and not if it was going to happen. It was just like, okay, they just need to catch the right brakes, and they've been doing that.
The O'Reilly Auto Parts Pit Reporters on the Performance Racing Network.
The Grassroots is where the hometown heroes of Friday and Saturday nights are, and where the future stars of NASCAR are made.
First career win for James Friesen in the TAS Racing Sportsman Series.
From Eldora to Knoxville, Jennerstown to Lawrence County, follow PRN's At the Track on Twitter and hear PRN's At the Track each week on broadcast radio stations, the free PRN app, or at goprn.com. PRN's At the Track, relentless passion for grassroots racing.
Coming up, we'll put the wrap on the show with one last thing, but that's a segment away. Right now, we're going to go around the horn with our panelists and get their thoughts and their outlook for 2023 and the one big thing that they think could happen as we make their predictions, because that's what you do on first of the year shows, is you make predictions about the next year, and then you never go back and check them because they're
probably wrong.
They're usually wrong. David Stiles, we're going to start with you. What are you thinking about that one big item that you think could possibly happen in 2023? Where are you going with this?
Well, I've been a big fan of the Trackhouse kind of organization and what they've been doing the past, year and a half. And I think this Project 91 car that they're putting in is going to be crew chief by Darian Grubb, and they're going to use different drivers from across the globe to promote NASCAR and put those drivers in a good quality ride. I think we may see one of those drivers win a race somewhere. I mean, Trackhouse has been pretty solid last year, Chastain and Suarez both with wins. So who's to say that someone can't step into this 91 car at Trackhouse Racing and get a W? I think that would be really cool and just kind of a building bridges sort of instance for the sport across the globe.
Well, if Goodwill could buy wins, Trackhouse Racing has already won a dozen races heading into next year, Alexis. Every time you turn around, somebody's talking about Justin Marks or Pitbull or Daniel Suarez or Chastain. I mean, they've got the glow about them right now. Their aura is really powerful.
Yeah, we've talked about it on this show before, because you're right. They do. They are, seem to be at the top of everyone's thoughts heading into 2023, and obviously what they were able to do last year. But they're, what we like to call disruptors. They do things differently, and I think that's why they are constantly top of mind for people, because they're not doing things the same old way that everybody else is doing them, and therefore putting them in everybody's sights. So yeah, I certainly think that could be interesting. It is a bold prediction from David that 91 car, but depending on who they get in that seat and in all of the road courses that we have on the schedule, where European drivers usually have more experience on road course type tracks, I think certainly, yeah, we could see something like that.
All right. Do you have something?
I do.
What you got?
Well, I actually have two
Share
things
with
on
the
my
class.
list, but I already mentioned one in AJ Allmendinger, and then I had to elaborate for that. So I've already used my AJ Allmendinger bold prediction. My second bold prediction is that Petty GMS will win multiple races in 2023, and I think obviously we've talked about it a little bit with the addition of Jimmy Johnson. I think he's going to bring so much to that team. But then you have really talented race car drivers in Eric Jones and Noah Gragson. Obviously when you're coming in as a rookie into the Cup Series and you've been the thing in the Xfinity Series, we've seen that not translate as well in previous seasons with other drivers. But I think that this next gen car kind of changes things a little bit for that. And I think Noah Gragson, now I don't think he's going to have the same success that he had last year in the Xfinity Series, but I think he could certainly find victory lane. And so with that said, I think they could have a multi-win season in 2023.
I do like the fact that he also got a lot of practice, Brad Gillie, talking about Noah Gragson in this car last year in a substitute role. So he's not coming in. He and Ty Gibbs both got a lot of seat time in these cars that don't hurt them as far as running for Rookie of the Year.
Yeah. And then if you consider the three drivers coming up from Xfinity, Ty Gibbs and AJ Allmendinger also spent time in the next gen car. I mean, look, you have Eric Jones at Petty GMS. I mean, that's,
all you need, right, Brad?
Season. Yeah. I mean, I'm right there with you. But my big bold prediction, in his 19th attempt, Kyle Busch kicks off his season with Richard Childress Racing by winning the Daytona 500.
I could see that happening. He needs that. You need that in your resume if you're a driver, especially somebody that's accomplished everything Kyle Busch has.
Yeah, I agree. And I think, certainly, RCR, they know how to win at plate tracks. And I think we will finally see, for so many years, people have said, oh, well, Kyle Busch is such a great talent. He could do this. He could win in anything. And seeing him switch to a new team. Now, granted, RCR, certainly has elevated their status over the past couple of years with help, from Tyler Reddick, who is leaving. But you could certainly see Kyle Busch winning the Daytona 500, multiple races possibly in 2023. But it'll be interesting from my vantage point to see how well he does with another team, because we've only really known Kyle Busch in Joe Gibbs Racing equipment.
I think the whole NASCAR world and fandom is waiting to see how that marriage works out. Mine's not an on-track thing. I think we had 7 races that sold out this past year. I think that total jumps to double digits this year. We've already got a lock. North Wilkesboro is going to be sold out. They're going to tell us.
I think they already are.
They're going to tell us that Chicago is sold out because we don't have any way to prove it's not.
Sure.
They'll say, Edward, there's 500,000 people here. We'll go, yeah, look at it. Look at all those people. So we're going to, but it felt like last year there was a lot of momentum to get butts back in the seats. And that's still important. I know we talk endlessly about how important television is, but still to create the right kind of vibe, you've got to have people at an event to make it a big event. And I think we're going to see that trend continue here in 2023. Coming up, one last thing.
Can your IRA stand up to the next financial crisis that our top economists are saying is at our doorsteps? By allocating a percentage of your IRA into physical gold and silver with a tax-free rollover, you can diversify and safeguard your holdings from turbulent markets and economic downturns by putting your IRA back on the gold standard. Find out how to safeguard your assets with a tax-free rollover with a Genesis Gold IRA, the only IRA that can hold physical precious metals. Call now for your free gold and silver report. Protect your IRA today with one simple phone call and learn how to qualify for up to $10,000 in free silver. Call Genesis Gold Group, empowering faith-driven stewardship. 800-583-5345. 800-583-5345. 800-583-5345. That's 800-583-5345.
I'm Bubba Wallace, and you're listening to Fast Talk on the Performance Racing Network.
Hi, this is PRN's Brett McMillan. You don't spend your life just sitting around, so what you need is PRN's mobile app. By downloading the mobile app, you can listen to our live race broadcast from anywhere. Make sure you don't miss a second of the action from the track. If you download it today, you get station listing and on-demand access to your favorite studio shows like Fast Talk, Pit Reporters, or Garage Pass. Get all the latest racing information at your fingertips with the PRN mobile app. Download today. Available at the Apple App Store and on Google Play.
Get your NASCAR fix with PRN's Garage Pass.
This car puts on really good shows at 1.5 mile, 2-mile tracks, and I expect nothing less.
Obviously, it's not the spot we want to be in. We'd love to have a win by now and feel like we should have, but it's just been one of those seasons where when we have cars good enough to win, we haven't done all the other things right.
I feel like it's going to be an opportunity to win and feel like, it's an opportunity to win at home as well. So want to take advantage of both of those things.
Hi, I'm Mark Garrow, tracking the latest racing news every weekday.
Been a lot of fun being with you here on Fast Talk. PRN excited about the upcoming season. We will add 2 races to our broadcast calendar. We will be at Dover Motor Sports Speedway, and of course we will be at Nashville Super Speedway, adding those to the list of PRN broadcast locales. Before we get into one last thing, we'll start with you, David Stiles. One movie that's going to be released in 2023 that you're actually excited about, that you might go to the theater to watch.
Ooh, I don't know of anything that's coming out here recently. I know we talked off air about being excited to see something that's out presently, and that's The Whale with Brandon Fraser.
Good enough.
And I really want to see that. It's got him and Sadie Sink in it, and they say Sadie Sink is the girl that plays in Stranger Things. What's her name? Redheaded girl. Oh, help me out.
I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm drawing a blank. Any people know. People know.
All right, that movie looks interesting. A little bit of a creep factor to it. But Brad Gillie?
I literally don't know what movies are coming out this year. How about the second half of season 5 of Yellowstone on TV?
Fair
whenever
enough.
That's going to happen.
I hope it's better than the first half of season 5. Alexis?
I'm cheating. I'm looking at Google right now because I was having a hard time. Thanks for coming to me third. I was having a hard time, too, thinking about movies that are coming out. And honestly, looking at these, I'm not that intrigued by any of them.
I will bail you guys out. I have 2 that are on my must-see list that I will go to the theaters. There's a third Guardian of the Galaxy movie coming out, even though most of the Marvel movies that have come out in the last 2 years have been junk. I'm looking forward to that. And obviously, Dune Part 2. Got to wait till November, but I'll wait. I will wait for that. I felt like the first Dune movie is one of the prettiest films I've ever seen. All right, let's get around to this last feature.
One last thing.
All right, Brad Gillie, what do you got for one last thing here?
Well, mine will be really simple. On Twitter, just a short while ago, Kyle Larson and his wife, Caitlin, announced the birth of their third child, Cooper Donald Larson. Congratulations to both of them. What a great way to ring in the new year.
All right, David Stiles.
Kent and I were talking here in the control room, and we thought that it was just easy to start off 2023 with a reminder to just be kind to one another. It's just takes a lot of energy to not be kind, and I think it's just that time of year where we can evaluate things and say, you know what, it's just easier to smile at people, be cheerful about what you're doing, and just be kind to one another.
Very well said.
Yeah.
That's warm.
Yeah, and in the spirit of that, my one last thing is, who doesn't love a clean slate? You start off at the beginning of the year. Everybody is optimistic. Every driver that's going to be running in the 2023 season in every series is thinking to themselves, man, I can do great this season. I've got a clean slate. Things are going great. Nothing has happened yet to push us off of our track. And so, who doesn't love a clean slate? I'm so happy, thankful for a new year and a new, look on everything, and be kind, just like David said.
I will piggyback what you guys have said in the sense that I know there are a lot of people that say disparaging things about people making New Year's resolutions. I'm going to the gym. I'm losing weight. I'm going to send thank you notes. Whatever it is, go ahead and make that resolution. Even if you only do that thing for a month, then that's a month of improvement in your life that you've made forward. Or even just the thought process of thinking I can do better is healthy for you. So don't let the haters get you down.
Haters gonna hate.
They're gonna hate, folks, every day of the week. So don't let them get to you. If you feel like this is the year that you can make some small improvement, probably would coach you to do that as opposed to life-changing events, go right ahead and do that. That's from the entire team here at Fast Talk. Thanks to Kent Bernhardt and David Stiles behind the glass, Alexis and Brad. I'm Doug Rice. Back next week with a whole bunch more Fast Talk.
Fast Talk was presented by Toyota. Let's go places. Coca-Cola Zero Sugar. Is it the best Coke ever? And Progressive, celebrating 10 years of providing vehicles to veterans through their Keys to Progress program. This is PRN, the Performance Racing Network.